forward to my computer. Okay. Hey, I'm excited to have one of our software providers who's just been on fire the last few months, and happy to welcome Dr. Russ Corey. You practice out of Omaha, Nebraska,
Right.
correct?
Yep, that's right.
And you've been a chiropractor. You graduated from Cleveland in 1998, and you've been with the Pinnacle Consulting Group and practiced in this arena since 2001. Remind me again who the founder of Pinnacle was?
So the original founder of Pinnacle was Dr. Steve Hayes out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And a few years ago, he retired and turned the business over to 90 of us that are considered owners. And we've changed the name. We call it Pinnacle Chiropractic Systems.
Beautiful.
Because it's really about how we practice and the system of how we practice. So that's what we love to teach to doctors and students.
And
so
a lot of your instructors are volunteers and helping grow this as well.
Yeah, all the owners we're all volunteers. Yeah, but we're putting profits back into the business. We're growing the business, and at some point, I think it's going to be a really great thing for the next generation. We want this thing to continue on so that we can even turn the business over to future generations of our kids that are practicing too. So kind of fun.
That's the way to make an eternal impact and keep it rolling even after we're not here. So kudos to Steve, who was the founder. And I got to say, every Pinnacle doctor that I've met, and most of them have been referred by you or Miss Teresa Larson, they're just mean, lean, fighting machines. They're in small, nice offices, low overhead, not a lot of marketing, and they see numbers like 500-600 people a week.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, that's right.
So I'm having you on tonight because you've already had a successful career over the last 25 years. You've been married for 21 years, 21 years, about 20?
24 years.
3 children. And everything you do is obviously for your family, right? You're building a legacy for them. And you're an awesome businessman. You work only a couple days a week. You have a nice practice, correct?
Yeah, we've got a great practice. And as we kind of talk about this stuff, why we decided to add Softwave. One of them is that we've had a lean, mean machine, operating for many, many years, highly successful, seeing, hundreds of people a week. So I had the luxury of, practicing that way for so many years that I guess it gave me like the impetus or the confidence to say, you know what, I really want to do something more to help more people. And one of the gaps that I found in chiropractic is, and that's what I call it, is the gap. So we have like patients that we'll treat in our office, and let's say they're doing really great and they're super happy with their care, and then they come in on Monday and they're like, hey doc, I'm doing great, thanks so much. Hey, I won't be here for the next 3 months. I'm having hip replacement, or I'm having knee replacement, or I'm having shoulder surgery, or something like that, right? And it was always like so frustrating for me and so shocking for me, because I thought everything was hunky-dory, but they never would bring it up necessarily. They thought, hey, this is outside of the chiropractic realm. I'm going to my orthopedist. It's bone on bone. That whole story. Mm-hmm. It's bone on bone. There's nothing they can do about it. So they were on this path, unbeknownst to me, of getting cortisone shots, probably doing therapy, and all that stuff, of course, failed. And then they're going to get surgery. And this is the first time that I hear about it. So that was always like the biggest frustration for me, was like, how do I fill this gap in? How do I keep patients here and away from all of that? I'm not necessarily against surgery, but I sure don't want my patients to have it if they don't need it. So I wanted to fill the gap and keep them off of the path.
What's funny? The patients don't like sharing with their primary care orthopedist that they're going to a chiropractor, and vice versa. They like to keep things separate in the world. But I think one of the things that's been so phenomenal having you part of Softwave, and when did you get your device? When did you start?
I started just early January. Maybe.
And who referred you?
Pardon?
Who referred you to?
Dr. Teresa Larson.
Boom. So it
Yeah,
starts with one.
it
And
did
then,
start with one. Yeah.
so you come in and you hit the ground running. Tell me what you did in your first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Do you know your numbers?
Yeah, so I don't have them all on the top of my head, but I think I can guesstimate pretty well. We had Dr. Kyle Bowers come in and he did yep, who's that guy? That lose you?
No, go ahead. I just had
Okay.
my Great Dane and she's a pain.
Oh,
So
funny. That's you?
that was me 10 years ago.
All
Yeah.
right.
This is what happens from
Yeah,
traveling,
you're looking younger than you did back then.
whatever. But go ahead. So you got Kyle Bowers, one of our top trainers in the US,
Yeah.
comes in, he gets you rolling.
So we had a huge, super successful launch, and I think he told us, or he told me, he said, "You blew away all the records on your demo day," and I think we signed up, shoot, 18 or 20 people that first morning, collected like, oh, I could be wrong. I think I want to say like 27,000 or something that morning, and then I was like, well, shoot,
24,000 was the record.
yeah, so we beat it, whatever it was, we beat it.
It was gosh, I'll think of him in a second. A great dude. But go ahead. And so you hit those numbers. You started 18,
Yeah.
27,000.
So we started off there, and we launched we launched it super successfully right away. And then since then, every week we're just adding in people. The way I really started was, just to look at the population of patients that we have currently. They're walking in, they're talking about something that SoftWave can help with. So I said, you know what you should do, go back. Deb is the gal that runs our machine. I said, go back and talk to Deb. Just go ahead and get started today. Go do that demo visit. We call it a discovery visit. Go do that. And she's going to help you find out exactly where the pain is coming from. And then once we do that, guess what? You're going to start healing. And then it's just going to be a matter of time until you're all perfect. So that's really my pitch to patients. And they all go back and they all do it. And almost all of them sign up.
You beat the past record holder was Mike Southwick with $24,000.
Oh yeah, I know Mike. Yeah.
Over 6 hours, he and Jeff May. So you and Kyle now hold the record. Congratulations.
I don't even think it took us 6 hours. I think we may have done it in 4 hours, maybe. I don't know.
That's even better.
Yeah.
So rough ideas on your numbers for January, February, March. What would you guesstimate?
Yeah. So over the 3 months, oh boy, we're in that first month obviously was big because we had a huge launch. I'd say we're probably averaging 25, somewhere in that a month since then.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty awesome. 27,000 is the number per month that we see in cities of 50 to 75,000 people. Obviously with existing patients, we see a 90% acceptance rate from already existing. You might have had 100% because your patients love you.
Well, that first day we had about a 99%. There was one guy I can remember didn't do it.
Well, that's pretty good. And then new patients walking off the street, what do you think you're converting at for that? Any idea?
If they've been referred, through just other patients, it's 100%. I mean, it's close to 100%.
That third party endorsement goes a long way. And
yeah, sure does.
And so you're noticing you're taking care of those tougher patients. You're not referring out. They're not going out for injections, cortisone, possible joint replacements. You'll see it as the longer you're there. But I mean, that's the impact that you've made in your community and what the growth on your practice has been. But I think one of the most amazing things that I've seen with you over the last couple of months is that you've referred, I believe, 12 doctors, other chiropractors from around the area. Some are Pinnacle, some are not. But I believe you've got at least 5 sales and another 5 that are pending.
Yeah.
So what are you saying to your fellow practitioners? And please share with us how you say it and what you do it. And
well, honestly,
I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm moving.
Yeah. I'm coming in closer. The number one thing I tell them is a lot of what we've already talked about. First of all, a lot of these people are docs that I know and we've got a great relationship with, and we trust each other so much that if somebody tells me I got to look into something, I'm going to seriously look into it. So we already have, a great relationship in that sense where we trust each other. And so I just tell them the facts. I tell them that, hey, this is really going to help your practice out, to help those patients that are going out the door. They're going out the door. They're going to come back for chiropractic later, but they're going out the door and they don't have options. So number one, you're going to be able to help so many more people to avoid the things that we don't want them to do, which on that path, once they start doing cortisone, I tell them it's 100% chance you're going to have a knee replacement or a joint replacement at some point. It's just 100% chance. So we need to stop doing that right now. And this is what I tell the docs that I'm referring. So this will interject into that system and stop them from going out the door and doing things that are dangerous for their health. It's going to help your practice because it's going to help the bottom line, no doubt. But it's a perfect fit. I do call it like the missing link of care. And it's that link that fills in the gap. And the gap, like we talked about, is when, let's say, PT, chiropractic, whatever, something physical hasn't worked. And then they're off to the orthopedist and they're getting these injections and cortisone shots and pills and then surgery. But there's this huge gap. So how do we jump from chiropractic to surgery? Well, that's the gap. And how do we fill the gap? This is the perfect technology for it. So it expands the practice. It expands what you're treating. And then all of a sudden you got people coming in now, new patients that never would have come to us initially either, because they thought there was nothing chiropractic could do, but they heard about soft wave. So now you've opened up this population of patients, and I tell them, you need to get adjusted too when you're here, right? Because it's going to improve the success rate. So the docs that I'm referring, I tell them, this isn't going to take away from your business, your chiropractic business. It's going to enhance it. You're going to see them on the chiropractic side. You're going to get more new patients on the chiropractic side. Plus you're treating conditions that never would have come into your office. So it takes maybe that 10% population that see a chiropractor, and it expands it up to 100% of the population.
That's what I've been saying for 5 years. That's what I've been sharing. And it's nice for you to help validate it, because let's face it, we are without a doubt the finest healthcare profession on the planet. But we have an identity crisis. People don't actually know what we do, and they're like, oh, I don't want you to crack my neck, whatever, right? But we have solutions, mechanical solutions to their problems. And I graduated from Life University in '94. I'm like you, I've been practicing for over 20 something years. And I always loved the above, down, inside out, right? ADIO. And I always thought of the above down as the posture, our frame, our spinal cord, our spinal column. And that is so fragile that we need to protect that. But the inside out part, yes, if we remove that interference and allow the body to work properly. But when you can find those subluxations or misalignments, and then you add this on top of it, it literally accelerates the body's natural healing ability. People get better faster, they need less visits, and it opens up your flow to see more people. And then they go tell 2 people, and they go tell 2 people. And I remember the first time I chatted with you, I kind of shared this stuff with you, and I might have said, hey, Russ, I mean, I know this sounds like it slices, it dices, it's a floor wax, it almost is too good to be true. And thank God Teresa had sent you, because so many people are just going to pause and they're going to wait on the sideline to see how it goes. And that's what a lot of doctors over the 5 years, over 5.5 years, I spoke to 3,300 doctors. Wow. I shared with you that of those 3,300, about 600 have purchased. Right? So that leaves 2,700 who've said no. And half of them was like, oh, it's just too much money. It's like, well, and then the other half was like, I'm just going to wait to see. Like, they're sitting on the sideline. Here's some of the people you've referred that have purchased. Nick DeRocher is very close. Thank you. Justin Grabowski, who's coming on board. We've got, Jeff Swanson, Heath Travis. I mean, those 2 are just rock stars. And I know you have a couple other ones that are coming down the pipeline too, but this is going to be the cherry on top of their already illustrious careers. These doctors are all successful, and You know, when you can spend 5 to 8 minutes with someone and collect anywhere from $125 to $300, I mean, time is money. Time is the new currency. This is just doubling and tripling in some offices the time they're spending with the patient. In closing, what do you see in the future for this? How do you see this playing out?
So here's the really cool thing about this, and I'm sure that on your side, you guys are still doing research into this thing. You're still finding out what this thing is capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
The really exciting thing, for us is the stuff that I know it's going to work for. The knees, the shoulders, the backs, the hips, all these conditions that it's like a slam dunk when they start doing it. But it's the cool ones when you don't expect some of the things that they come in and tell you later. For example, I've got a husband and wife couple, and they're a little bit older, and he was doing his hip, and she was doing a trigger finger. And the trigger finger, I'll tell you, it's like amazingly perfect. But we're treating her hand, and the only way that I can explain what happened was I've studied a lot of acupuncture over the years, and Korean hand acupuncture. So when we're treating her hand, we're treating acupuncture points. This is the only way I can explain this. Well, she comes in and tells me, she's like, is there any possibility that this is doing anything for my eyesight? And I said, you know what? Let me think about that. And the only thing I could come up with was this.
The reflexology chart.
Reflexology
We come
points.
in every single one of our soft wave rooms. Yeah.
That's right. And so she goes in and she gets her eyes tested. She's got a little bit of glaucoma, dry eyes. She's got cataracts and dry eyes, and he's got glaucoma. Well, they both go to the doctor yesterday, and they both have eye tests. The technicians that are doing the tests say, hey, your eyes you're both better. You're both seeing improvement in these conditions. And we'd already talked about this, so she was kind of giggling about it. She didn't expect her husband to have the same results. We've been treating his hip, right? We've been treating his hip. So we weren't doing anything with reflexology. So then here's the weird part, and this is the part that I don't want to take it down to take it down to level. But then they go in and they see the doctors, and they both see separate doctors. It's a husband and wife ophthalmologist, and the ophthalmologist would not confirm that their eyes were improved. Isn't that wild? So I'm like, I just think they were just so blown away.
It's too far away. It's out of their
It's out of the realm. It's out of their box.
If they didn't,
right.
Yeah. And it's nice to see other people's perspective. And again, our CEO, John Warlick, God bless him for keeping this alive. They've spent, in conjunction with the Austrian workers' comp system, we spent over $25 million in research and development. Wow. We spent over $10 million to get class 2 clearance in 5 different categories. We spent $2 to $3 million just to maintain these 49 patents. One is for peripheral nerve regeneration. And, John would see what's happening in the Austrian ERs and emergency rooms, working with Dr. Wolfgang Schaden. And Schaden would be like, I think this helps with bones, osteogenesis, and building bone faster. John would go get a patent. Then he'd say, hey, that bone that fractured, the compound fractured, I think the wound's healing quicker than I've ever seen in 20 years. John would go get a patent for wound healing and put Wolfgang on it. I mean, that's how it happened. It was very organic. I remember when I came in 2017, we were 9 years in the red. John Warlick kept this vision alive. And I remember in 2018, May or June, he pulled me and a couple of other sales guys in, and we were all, independent contractors, but he's like, listen, we don't make a sale this month. This was June of 2018. We're closing the doors. And that was my first sale that month. And Robert, his brother, got one, and John got one. And then 2 months later, we had, I think, 4 sales in August, and we've just never looked back. It's just, it's this little snowball that is gaining momentum. And I can't thank you enough, Russ, for everything you've done to help build the integrity and the principles within chiropractic, but also sharing your knowledge and with other chiropractors about soft wave. So thank you so much for doing that.
Hey, it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Listen, thanks for taking out tonight, and keep up the great work, man. And when you're ready to retire, you're just coming to work Softwave. We'll play some golf as much as we
Hey,
can.
there you go. There you go. Hey, I appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
See ya.